Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Tiffany, retired librarian turned homeschool mom. In this video we're going to be looking at the film Prancer. And apparently joining me is Kendra. That's Kendra. If you're familiar with my previous videos, you've periodically seen Kendra. She is 12, she is cranky, and she is an expat from Romania. I brought her home with me from the Peace Corps. So this cat is from Wallachia, Romania. She's also periodically vicious. And again, she's 12. So she's cranky. So when going through some of my Christmas stuff, I realized I didn't have a film to go with the Wild Christmas Reindeer, because as far as I know, there's not a film that goes with that. So I pulled this off my shelf. This is Prancer. I actually haven't opened this copy. This is a Christmas movie from my childhood. It is pretty much non-religious, at least not to the point. I think there's a church scene in here, but this is small town, I think Michigan or something. So probably not uncommon. And again, it's one scene, and that's not the point of the movie. So this is a 1989 film, I believe. I went and looked it up. It's been a while. So it tells the story of a little girl named Jessica, who her dad runs basically an apple orchard in the middle of nowhere. Her mother's died, so she's primarily being raised. She's about 8 years old by her 12-year-old brother and her widowed father. So she has no mother. She's pretty much and the hard times are coming for their ranch. Her father's having trouble with the apple orchard, and they're not making as much money. So he wants to send her briefly to go live with her aunt, and she doesn't want to do this. This is her home. She doesn't want to leave. She loves her dad. She loves her brother. So she's also obsessed with Christmas and reindeer. And again, she lives in the middle of nowhere in the woods. So on, I think the way home one day, she sees when they're putting up the Christmas decorations, they're putting up a whole Santa Claus, and one of the plastic Santa Claus is reindeer's fall. And she does it she counts which one it would be Prancer. And periodically through the course of snow, she finds a wounded reindeer who she is convinced is Santa Claus Prancer. So she thinks this reindeer can fly, and he's hurt. So she takes him home, hides him in her barn, convinces a vet to come look at him, tries to feed him Christmas cookies, and it goes on where eventually her father finds out there's a reindeer in their barn. She fights with her brother. The father sells the reindeer to the butcher. No, this is not getting gross. He uses it for his Christmas tree lot as basically advertising. Come see the reindeer. Come see Prancer as a reindeer. Well, she gets upset, and she runs off with her brother. She runs off from her brother and goes to the butcher shop, and her brother comes after her. They have a heart-to-heart, but then she falls trying to convince Prancer to fly and get out, and she gets hurt, and she's having to convalesce in her bedroom. Her and her dad end up having a heart-to-heart, and they release the reindeer and take him to this ridge where he supposedly joins Santa Claus. Now, when I haven't seen this in a very long time. This is straight from memory. I loved this. It was very, very cute and it was a non-Christian kind of adventurous children's book. And let's see, who are the actors? The little girl's actress is by the name of Jessica Riggs, but it's Sam Elliott. That's the father. So some people are familiar with this actor. He's been around for a very long time. He's in a lot of Westerns. He's this old, gruff guy. So he's a bit younger. You see him really old now, but this was filmed in 1989. He wanted to do this movie. So, because it's heartwarming. It's cute. I mean, it's a family film. The fact that you see a father struggling and not quite sure what to do with a daughter. I think I've also seen him, makes me think that he was in another film called The Horse Whisperer. And that came out in the summer of 1998. And why can I pinpoint that right off the top of my head? Because that was the summer we moved, and me and my sister were stuck basically driving each other crazy all summer, being 14 and 16 and not having any friends because we just moved from Hawaii. So we went to a couple of movies, and The Horse Whisperer was one of them. This was actually given to me by my sister because she, for some reason, remembered that this was a favorite family film of mine. I was obsessed with the Reindeer and Prancer. Since this came out in '89, I was most likely in elementary school when we probably saw this. I doubt we saw it in theaters. It was probably a VHS type. Again, how old I am. But it's a cute, non-religious family film. When I looked at the reviews recently, they compared it to Pollyanna, which is a very old film. And what I think it's actually a book. I'll have to look at it. But I remember seeing the Haley Mills version of this. I'll probably cover it at some point because I was obsessed with Haley Mills at one point. If you're not familiar with her, if you ever watched Saved by the Bell, she was, at least early on, she was the teacher. But otherwise, she's better known for being in the original version of The Parent Trap. So that's where I first saw her. And the horrible, horrible sequels. It was the 80s and early 90s. I think most of this came out in the 80s. Time of horrible, horrible sequels. But moving on to, again, back to Christmas film. So, as I rear off course. This is a great show for Christmas. Again, it's a family film. I mean, you see a brother and sister relationship. He's older, he's stronger. This is his baby sister, and just like his dad, they want to protect her. She probably, I think she may look like his mother, and it's like, this is my baby sister. I fight with her like crazy because I want her out of the way and I don't want her to get hurt. And that's pretty much how Dad thinks. And that's the reason he wants to send her off to stay with her aunt, is because he's a widowed father. He has this 8-year-old daughter. Things aren't great. He doesn't want her to experience hardship, and he wants to send her off with his aunt. There's a couple there. She also, along with Pollyanna, she also interacts with a cranky old lady who I believe, and I want to bring this up on the IMDb page real quick. I'll put the film down because I was looking at this earlier. Check on IMDb here. If I can spell tonight. Do a quick checking on here. And yeah, apparently there's some sort of horrible sequel to this. I don't pay any attention to it. Yeah, 1989 film. Really, they did a weird TV show. I hear cats banging around in my closet. Okay, so yeah, Aunt Sarah is played by an actress by the name of, and I can't pronounce this, Utana Aldna. I'm mispronouncing her. That's Aunt Sarah. But the woman that she ends up befriending, who's the cranky old lady, Mrs. McFarland, is Cloris Leachman. She's a pretty famous actress. And then she has there's a couple other famous names in here besides Sam Elliott, who plays the father. You also have Ariana Richards, if you were familiar with the Jumanji. She's both in Jumanji. She's also in Jurassic Park, at least the first ones, as well as Johnny Galecki. If you ever watched Roseanne, or for many years, The Big Bang Theory. He looks like, I think he was a bully. He's not the brother. The brother's somebody else. So, but it was a good film. I mean, it's a good family film. So, with really good acting. I mean, a lot of people are John Riggs is, I'm turning the back on her, a veteran actor. The actress who played the young girl, Rebecca Harold Trickle, is, I believe, yeah, that's her real name. Yeah, Rebecca. She's obviously gotten married since this film. She still does some decent stuff. She was really, really good in this film because she's the center of it, and this was her first filming role, so she did a really, really good job. Again, I love this film. It's a great family film that's not religious, because this is a secular kind of homeschooling channel. Even though there is a church scene, but it's played off of the girl and her brother and their aunt at church, and then it switches back to, this is when Dad gets pissed off and finds the reindeer. Not to mention he lets all the animals out of the barn, so he wants it dead. That's the other thing. So he'd seen it. It's an injured deer. Now it's a healed deer. He wants it dead because it's destroying his property because it's a deer. I think in areas, I think this is shot in Michigan or something, deer are considered a nuisance sometimes. Not to mention people eat them. So, that very heartwarming, cliche little Christmas film. And I can see by looking at it, it's like, yeah, this is kind of related to Pollyanna. You can definitely see the similar characters in here. But again, family and community coming together, and the family community does end up singing outside her window because her love of this reindeer. So, and her dad take it away. I read some of the IMDb stuff, and apparently the director said that it was a bit of an issue. He wanted to leave it ambiguous whether or not it was a live reindeer, or whether, because of the end, the reindeers, they take it off to a ridge where they think reindeer can jump off and fly. But it's supposed to be left ambiguous, but the studio wanted them to, Kendra, be quiet, meowing cats, give a more happy ending, so they do an animation of briefly seeing Prancer jump up to Santa Claus's sleigh. Apparently the director says that's all in the little girl Jessica's head, which is kind of interesting. I believed it as a kid, and I think that's the point. Most kids would. So it's a good kind of Santa Claus family film where a little girl wants to protect a reindeer, and it's the spirit of believing as well as persevering. So I love this film. It's very, very cute. I highly recommend it. I will probably watch it at some point if I ever find time to watch films again. My sister gave me this Christmas Day, I believe the year I was pregnant. So, which, yeah. Yeah, I haven't had time to watch that pregnant. I was not happily pregnant. So, but that's a completely different story, not really for this channel. But that is it for this review. Check out the rest of my Christmas stuff. The book review I did was for The Wild Christmas Reindeer. That was Monday. That came out Monday, so check that out. I will be doing, I've already covered How the Grinch Stole Christmas, both the book and 2 of the films, the 66 and the 2000. That's 2000 live action. I will be also covering the L. Frank Baum book, The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus, and the Rankin and Bass stop motion animation of that, as well as the Polar Express and the film that went along with it. That will be the week of Christmas. So that is actually my favorite book. So my favorite Christmas book. But again, Prancer is probably one of my childhood favorite films from Christmas time. My family was big on Christmas, and I'm trying to keep it non-religious because that's what we do in this household. So that is it. Like and subscribe if you want to see more. I also have dozens of other book reviews, film reviews, some homeschooling stuff sprinkled in here and there, as well as a little bit of travel. So thank you.